My name is Intisar Duram. I am your senior judge for this event today. Again, my name is Intisar Duram. I am an engineer and I am an engineering executive for a multinational company based here in Los Angeles, California. I'm happy to hear from all of you. Before we get started, we'd love for the other judges to introduce themselves briefly as well. And then after that, I have a short announcement before the team gets started.
Miguel Salazar, and I am an economist by training, and I would love to see these presentation. So I've been looking forward to it.
Hi, I'm Mia Costa, and I am a startup executive specifically for marketing and tech.
I'm Anna Papazian. I'm a professor of finance, and I run an outsourced CFO firm.
Yeah, Henry Chart. I'm a lawyer, do insurance law.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Henry. Thank you all for, again, for helping us judge these presentations. And like I said, before we get started, to the team, please make sure that for this competition, you are taking on a fictional business identity and assigning a fictional identity to us, the judges, as well. So please make sure everyone knows who you are and who they are before you begin. You will have 25 minutes once I am done to describe the legal, financial, and ethical dimensions of the problem and to recommend a solution that passes muster on all fronts. So when you are all done with your presentation, we will have a 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A while we are still in character. After we are done with that formal Q&A, we would love to give you some feedback on how the presentation went as well. So with that said, you have the floor and you have 25 minutes. Go.
Yep. Let's get started. Yes. So during the course of this presentation, we'll focus on 4 things. Present problems. We will focus on the current challenges in the carbon credit system, including concerns around credibility, transparency, and the gap between climate commitments and actual environmental impact. We'll focus on ethical concerns, where we'll explore the ethical implications of greenwashing and the importance of aligning sustainability practices with genuine long-term environmental responsibility and stakeholder trust. We'll also propose technology-driven solutions, such as leveraging blockchain and AI to improve the verification, transparency, and effectiveness of carbon credit systems. And in the end, we'll discuss the potential impact of the solution in strengthening market integrity, supporting climate goals, and how success can be measured through clear, credible sustainability metrics. Next slide, please. But first, the question arises, why Shell? Why did we pick Shell to build our case? That is because Shell, a giant, has faced multiple accusations of greenwashing, providing concrete examples to analyze. For instance, in 2023, Shell was accused of using low carbon credits to claim carbon neutrality, buying these credits at dirt cheap price. As a major player in the energy sector, Shell's practices can influence industry norms and public expectations regarding corporate environmental responsibility. So Shell's approach can help understand the broader implications of greenwashing in the corporate world. Shell has also been subject to legal actions concerning its environmental claims. For example, in 2021, the Dutch Advertising Code Committee upheld a complaint against Shell for misleading advertising related to carbon neutral driving. While Shell has faced shareholder resolutions demanding clarity on how its growth strategies align with emission reduction targets, analyzing these interactions can shed light on the role of investors in holding companies accountable for greenwashing. To elaborate on the present problems, I would like to invite Chetan.
Yeah, thanks, Mayur. See, as a team Moral Mavericks, we tried to understand what are the problems surrounding sustainability aspects. And when we were we were brainstorming about how Shell used low carbon credits to offset their carbon emissions, we also thought of a story to tell. Back in India, like we have a story of a small kid who always goes to his father and tell that there is a tiger that is coming to eat the sheep. So when he tells this 3, 4, or 5 times, the sixth time when the tiger really comes, his father will not believe him. So it is very much similar to what Shell is doing. Like it is the question of long-term integrity that will be questioned. And even though like in future, if Shell wants to offset the carbon emissions really, at that time people may not believe them. So that comes to that brings us to the present problems that we observed. One is questionable carbon credit integrity. The problem is that Shell relies on low cost carbon credits. The price that they spent was $4.15 per credit. If I have to compare it to like industry benchmark, like Microsoft spent $189 per credit on average for offsetting the carbon emissions. So basically the impact will be like it undermines the net zero pledges and invites accusations of greenwashing and lack of transparency in carbon markets. Like current systems allow double counting, resale, or even fraudulent claims also. Basically, it is all because of lack of transparency and opaque systems. The impact will be like it even erodes their stakeholder trust also. Like they faced many accusations, as Mayor mentioned, that they are using carbon credits, low cost carbon credits to offset the emissions. And inconsistent project sustainability, like many offset projects fail to deliver long-term carbon sequestration due to poor monitoring. The impact will be like, even though Shell is spending huge money as well, the impact is not actually delivered on the ground. Next slide, please. If we have to discuss on a systemic level, like why this is happening, what are the root causes, why carbon credits fall short. So if we see that we identified 3 issues, one is the low cost credit dependence. The root cause is that price driven purchasing over impact. The real impact is not measured. Rather, the number of carbon credits only are measured. So many companies are trying to just buy low carbon credits to offset their emissions. The consequence will be like reputational damage, which already is happening for Shell. And the second issue is verification gaps. And the root cause is manual audits and no real-time data. There is no real-time data available even as of today. And the consequence will be inefficient carbon credits offset spending. Even though they're spending much, the real impact is not being delivered, as I mentioned before. And the third issue is regulatory fragmentation. Root cause is varying global standards, like different countries are having different standards due to which these issues are happening. So without transparency, carbon markets are just accounting tricks. So these are the problems that we identified, and the solution will be discussed by my teammates.
So before we move on to the solutions, let's look at the ethical concerns here. So myself, Amit from our Mavericks, and I'll be guiding you through the ethical concerns and sustainability concerns. So here, first of all, from an ethical point of view, we believe that Shell has taken a teleological approach wherein it has concentrated on the goals rather than on the way we achieve the goals. So here, to achieve their carbon targets, they have gone with low quality carbon credits. And this is a concern because it does not actually achieve the climate targets that are being set, which is the whole purpose of this introducing this carbon credits. So we believe that it, from an ethical point of view, it should mimic companies like Microsoft, which has gone for a deontological approach, wherein it has shown clearly like it will whatever carbon credits it buys, it's of high quality, which actually contribute and offset their carbon emissions. Another ethical idea which can come in is Gandhi's trusteeship model, wherein we believe that the world or the resources of the world which are being used is we are just guardians of it rather than owners of it. So we should always be using these resources in a manner in which it will be conserved for the future generations as well. And other ethical concerns are the inequity which is being created because of this lack of proper use of carbon credits. So when here we can see that the big corporates, they can do this, whereas the smaller ones, they will be forced to buy they will be buying at higher prices. So to reduce this inequity, bigger companies like Shell have to actually set the example by doing the right thing, that is to ensure that they have high quality carbon credits. Another thing is that when this is being offset, like when they are buying from carbon credits, you know that most of these carbon credits, they come from the emerging markets or the global south. So this is another issue where the carbon emissions are being actually like in the global north, the carbon credits are being purchased from the global south, which is actually kind of transferring the burden. Another ethical concern here is the moral justification that is being created. Like other companies can actually say that, look, Shell or big companies like Shell are doing this, so why can't we also do the same and purchase low quality or cheap, dirt cheap carbon credits? Now, from a sustainability point of view, here, as I mentioned initially, like Shell has been going with the teleological approach, but that would have been fine if that final goal which it wanted to achieve would have been responsible, sustainable global uh, climate. I mean, sustainability was the goal, but here the short-term goal of the company, which is the profits, are being taken into consideration rather than the triple bottom line of profit people as well as planet. So there is a need for ensuring that the planet and the people are the main goal. Another thing is this lack of accountability in carbon reporting would be copied, and it would actually set a bad example. Big corporates like Shell has the responsibility to take up ethical leadership and set a culture wherein sustainability is valued. And now we just look at how it impacts the various stakeholders in this process as well. So one thing is that this is actually the greenwashing of carbon credits is actually affecting the shareholders' trust in the company. It also penalizes companies which actually go for good carbon credit use, and also it results in it disadvantages the seller. Those who are actually making high efforts of carbon offset are actually going unrewarded. Now I hand over to Shruti.
Yeah, hello everyone. So I'm Shruti and I'll be walking you through our proposed solution. So we are suggesting that Shell lead the way by using blockchain and AI to build a system that ensures that every carbon credit is transparent, verified, and with high integrity. So let's first start with blockchain. So think of it as a digital ledger that records every carbon credit when it's issued, sold, or retired, and that record can't be changed. So once Shell uses a credit, it marked as retired, and there is no chance of it being double counted or resold. So we also bring in smart contracts, which is a set of automated rules that release payments only when certain verification criteria are met. So that means fewer middlemen and a lot less room for fraud. So what's in it for Shell? So more trust in the quality of credit, easier auditing and compliance, and better visibility into scope 3 emissions. Now let's talk about AI. So verifying carbon projects manually is very slow and inconsistent. AI can resolve it. So it can analyze satellite images to track forest cover or land use over time. And it can also use IoT data from sensors to check if reforestation or soil projects are actually storing carbon. And with natural language processing and machine learning, it can scan audit reports to flag inconsistencies or signs of underperformance. So instead of occasional checks, Shell gets real time predictive monitoring, which is fast, scalable, and reliable. Amit, next slide, please. Yeah, so this solution directly supports Shell's goals, like cutting emission by 50% by 2030 and becoming a net zero energy company by 2050. It also builds Shell's image as a tech-savvy sustainability leader and positions the company to influence global standards for high-integrity carbon markets. So rather than just buying credit, Shell's become a market shaper. Now I'll hand it over to the next speaker to take us through the implementation part.
Hi, myself Purvang here. I will be discussing about the benefits that the Shruti has discussed about the proposed solutions. So what are the benefits of implementing blockchain and AI? So coming to the first point, the transparency and traceability. Blockchain being a distributed ledger provides an immutable, transparent record of carbon credit ownership and transactions, thus reducing the risk of fraud and double counting. So that is the first benefit of implementing a blockchain. The second is the liquidity and accessibility. Tokenized carbon credits can be easily traded on a digital platform. So it increases the liquidity in the market, and tokenization also lowers the entry barrier, thus allowing individuals and small organizations to participate in the carbon credit market. Third is the efficiency and cost reduction. Blockchain eliminates the need of brokers, auditors, who usually charges a fees for their services. Thus, blockchain reduces the administrative and operational cost associated with the verification, validation, and certification of emission reductions. Fourth is a new financial product. Based on the blockchain and the tokenization system, a bank can actually develop a new market of green bonds and tokenized securities. And based on that securities, they can also verify that whether to give a loan to a particular company or not. Fifth is the blockchain improves the carbon trading. Blockchain make it easier to keep a track and comply with the carbon credits, which can be traded in various markets, such as voluntary market or the compliance market, to incentivize the emission reduction activities. Sixth is the most important one, that how AI can improve the report tracking. AI system is used to analyze satellite imagery with IoT data and reports to verify whether the offset projects genuinely reduce CO2 over time or not. And blockchain stores this report to identify the best practices and areas of improvement. So these are some of the benefits that we have identified that we can get by implementing blockchain and AI. Thank you.
With that, we would like to close our presentation. Thank you. Should I stop sharing or?
Sir, here we complete our presentation.
Oh, you completed. Thank you. Thank you very much for this very informative presentation. And I'm going to kick it off with an easy question for you before the rest of the judges ask their questions. And really, what's in it for Shell? Could you expand on that a little bit more? I know there was some touches of it, but in the presentation, but why?
See, I would like to take that question. See, when we were brainstorming on what company we should choose, we understood that Shell understand the importance of like facing the backlash because of this something called greenwashing. Like Shell is alleged that it is doing greenwashing rather than buying real carbon credits, which are actually offsetting carbon emissions on the ground. So basically, since they understand the consequences of backlash and the greenwashing, I feel that Shell would be a right company to do, and Shell also has the resources to do that. And this is as Shruti mentioned, like here we are talking about shaping a new market because currently there is no proper system in place done by any company, and Shell can even use this system to help other companies also to get their carbon credits verified as well.
Thank you very much. Questions from the panel?
Yes. Question: do you have any sense of the cost, from the or any financials you
Right. We have not looked into the financials as of now because what we think is this would be a greenfield project where Shell would take up implementing blockchain and AI to build a platform or a market as such. We are still looking into calculating what kind of cost it would the Shell would incur in doing that. But we also analyze that it would mean business for Shell when they launch this platform and onboard other companies as well. Uh, when we talk about that, the first or the eager companies that would come to this platform would be companies such as Microsoft, who already spend a lot on buying carbon credits. So we are still figuring out the financial part.
So are you envisioning that Shell is like building this on the Ethereum blockchain, and who is actually issuing the tokens then?
So we are proposing to build it on Ethereum blockchain because it also supports smart contracts there, which would help in buying and selling of these carbon credits. Issuing of token, we're assuming that it would be taken care of by Shell itself when the companies are registering for it's a platform basically for buying and selling. So when the companies are registering themselves and they're giving all the details, these tokens would be issued by Shell itself and given to those companies who are involved in this buying and selling. So then they can trade with other companies who want to offset their carbon credits.
I see, thank you.
So, question, it says that you'll use AI systems to analyze satellite imagery. So what exactly is that all about? You're going to be able to, analyze satellites over a specific geographic area, like an entire state or wherever a shell plant is. You can look at that area to see if the emissions are different in the state of, I think they have one in San Remo or something, California. You're gonna just look at San Remo to see if anything's different and kind of time horizon.
We're looking at it this way, like the sellers of the carbon credits who are there, when they get onboarded, we will be taking up, looking into their projects. Basically, we will be using AI to analyze their projects to see if they are actually doing the work to make the change. Like, suppose it's a forestation project. I mean, so we'll be analyzing the satellite images to see if they are actually implementing those or if it's just a namesake project.
Oh, so you would be able to see if they got, a bunch of trucks that just came in and that kind of thing, or
Like, let's say, like, for example, what happens, like there are instances wherein, like, you say, let's say you are planting trees, it's a forestation project, you plant trees, but after 1 or 2 years you are just cutting it back, cutting and then again doing it, the reforestation in the same land, same piece of land. So such kind of inconsistencies we are trying to avoid.
And analyzing satellite imagery is just one portion of what will be done. Like as Amit mentioned, we can use other methods also to analyze the reality of what the project is doing. In this particular case, that what he told, like if we are planting trees, that can be analyzed through satellite imagery. But there will be other things which we can't analyze to images only. In that, we will use other methods as well.
And how does the blockchain aspect work? You said you're going to use the Ethereum platform. So when the token goes down, that means it's more valuable, or vice versa? How's that trading platform work? You just let me buy 10,000 units of pollution, or
Yes, actually, it is sort of that because that is what is happening right now, but without a regulated market. So what you exactly said, let me buy 10,000 units worth of pollution, or actually green credits, carbon credits, what we call it. But this will be ethical, and a lot of companies will actually support it. And if Shell takes the initiative coming from the bottom of the pyramid where it uh, buys with at a dirt cheap price, a lot of companies will actually support it. The companies that are selling it would be very much interested in it, who are actually ethically sourcing it, and the companies that are buying it at a higher price would invest in it, or could look at investing in this as well. So that is our business proposal.
All right. More Any more questions? I had actually one I did not hear much about, which are some of the legal drivers for implementing this blockchain, this system, essentially for reporting, for tracking and reporting. What are some of the legal drivers or legal requirements, impediments to the company that's implementing it?
See, blockchain as a technology, it's not new. Like it's already existing in the in the world, and there are many different, as one mentioned was Ethereum. Same way, there are other systems as well with respect to blockchain. So in terms of legal compliance, the issue will be basically how the governments are supporting. And I think nowadays especially the emerging markets, as Amit also mentioned when he was presenting, most of these carbon credits come from emerging markets because that is where they can do some activity which is low cost. So basically the governments, they're accepting it. That is the complaints issue that we will be facing.
To add to this, Intisar, I was also like to highlight that smart contracts would be one of the things that we could look at when we are talking about legal issues, because that does not necessarily come under the legal umbrella. And then we could also look at reporting to agencies that track these, or where these frauds can be reported. So transparency with those agencies is very important here, and we have to work with those agencies as well. The data integrity and accountability part is what I would like to highlight here.
If they're raising capital with what's called like a prospectus and they're lying about greenwashing, or well, if they are greenwashing and lying about using more higher quality carbon credits and they're raising money that way, that's like a false and misleading prospectus, which is like a crime.
Yeah, from the legal standpoint, I mean, I would just be aware of the legal risks, especially if Shell is going to front these, lead it, because of all of the problems that we've seen with the companies that get into these spaces. And if something happens, what would be the legal repercussions for the company beyond the name and the branding repercussions, but all the legal problems. So okay.
So Shell is already facing a few legal problems, as they had already allegations of greenwashing. What we're proposing here is building a platform. This could be, when we're looking at the legal challenges, we could also separate this a little bit from the company or create it as a subsidiary. Because if I take an example of MERS, which also implemented a blockchain solution to streamline the global supply chain, that did not work because it was very tightly associated with the company itself, and the other companies saw it as competitor before disclosing their data. So we are actually looking at such kind of a situation, and this could be a pitfall for Shell as well. So we are open to exploring that option as well.
I would like to add one point to what Mayur have said. It can happen that if Shell is taking one project in a particular company and the same project, if it takes in the other country, then it could happen that the particular government of that country can give some rating, suppose 3 carbon credit to that particular project, and the government of the other country might have the different set of criteria to rate that project. So the uniform acceptance of that whole system can be one of the legal problem that Shell might have to face.
All right. So the feedback, as you noticed from our pause after you're finished, and we didn't know you were finished, I think it's always a good idea to have an ending slide to just say, hey, now it's a Q&A start or something to that effect. So again, so that your audience doesn't hit that pause, not knowing whether you're done with your official presentation or not. But other than that, I found the information that you presented really well developed and researched. I liked the fact that you leaned into the ethical questions of the subject. Yeah, and I really want to thank you very much for taking the time and for this preparing. And I know Zoom is not too friendly sometimes, but you did a good job.
I'd like to add, I also think you guys did a very good job. I like that you took a very technology forward approach using blockchain and AI. I would have loved to see it fleshed out a little bit more, the detail on it, I think would have been helpful, but I do think you've really given us something to think about in terms of how to manage the carbon credit problem in a very, very modern way. So good work.
I think you had a hard challenge here because there's a lot of information to share. And one of the things that would be helpful in future presentations is not make it so wordy. We know you know this information. Give flavor to the slide, give substance to the slide, but maybe put it in bullet points so people capture your key points. I can't remember in the beginning, someone was giving a lot of information, but it was already what we saw on the slide. And so, make the slides something that where it shows the key takeaways, and the presenter for whatever slide just provides more background for it. But I understand the challenge. It was great information. There were like one or two things that I wasn't quite aware of. So I always love learning. But as Intisar said, it would be great to have a summary slide. So it kind of wraps it all together. So we just know. Because I was like, was there something else that I didn't catch? But good job with being very thorough.
A good presentation. I like the ethical part. I think it was well explained. Yes, probably make the slides a little less wordy. I think that is also a comment. I would have liked to see some numbers. Maybe to just grab some the scope of this market. Say, hey, this is what we estimated. Again, at a very high level, not going into the details, but maybe say this is how big we're estimating, or we're looking at this market, and this is what we expect, just to give some context to the project. But overall, I think it was very, very, very good.
I think it was very creative. I mean, anybody who can come up with how to use AI and blockchain in a presentation is, probably going to end up rich. And the fact that you use the words deontological and teleological, I was like, oh yeah, they got to be rich one day. So, but no, it was very, very. I can tell you put a lot of work into it, and a lot of analysis. And I mean, yeah, you probably want to come up with some financial numbers, like this will cost this, you get this out of it. But I appreciated the enlightenment, because I can see the nexus now and the creativity. So good job on that end.
Kudos to the team. Much appreciated. Thank you to the judges for taking time of your busy day to help us with this endeavor. Thank you to the team.